guys, thanks for joining us for another video. This was actually filmed a while ago. I got these earlier in the year, but I wanted to take some time to actually use some of them before I went through and showed you what I got. So just to quickly get into this, I didn't actually buy all these watercolors. I bought specifically the Rembrandt Van Dyke Brown, and I wanted to show you here why I did when I have the same name paint in Sennelier, Winsor & Newton and Holbein, which you can see first. So the Rembrandt was my original tube and I finished it, and then when I tried to find an alternative, I realized that every maker has a very different idea of what Van Dyke Brown is, and none of them came close to what I wanted. Or rather, the Holbein came close, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. Sennelier is way too red. It's almost like a Venetian brown. And the Winsor & Newton is more chestnutty. I think it's quite warm, and I wanted a darker, colder sort of brown. The Holbein did come close, as you can see, but I don't think it had enough of the black pigment in the mixture. And then you'll see now the Rembrandt, and it just blows them out of the water. It's just really smooth. It's a very dark brown and I love it. I use it a lot. It's constantly on my palette. So I basically just had to throw in the towel and then buy a replacement. Then when it came to some additional oil paints, these were specifically bought for my landscape oil pieces. I've been painting a lot of warmer sort of sunsetty skies, and I realized that a lot of my yellows, a lot of my warm colors are quite opaque, and I didn't have a transparent orange, which is where this comes in. So the orange I ended up buying is from the Schminke Artist Quality. It's the Mussini brand. So they've got two artist quality oils, I think Norma and then this one, and the difference is this has a resin in the mixture. It just makes it slightly different when it's used, and they have a brilliant selection of transparent oils. The Naples yellow, it's not a genuine Naples yellow, but this particular mixture from Williamsburg is beautiful. It's creamy and I love Naples yellow. And then you had a bit more transparent greeny from Winsor & Newton, and then again this ochre from Schminke. So these will be used significantly in my landscape pieces. Now, with the pastels, I'm not currently using pastels. They do tie in a bit with my landscape paintings, but I'm still really focused on oils at the moment. But I did hear some good things about the Jackson's brand. So I bought some pieces in hues that are a bit not even secondary, they're more tertiary hues that I would use a lot in landscapes, and I'm using them here on a textured pastel paper, but it's not my preferred pastel paper. It still shows you though what they're like. So I found them to be slightly softer than the Rembrandt pastels, but they're nowhere near as soft as say Schminke or Sennelier, which are ridiculously soft. So I think these would make a good addition to my collection, and I do look forward to actually putting them to use. Now moving on to some pencils. These are a mixture of carbon charcoal and then charcoal pencils from Conte, Paris. So I think I mentioned earlier in a previous video about my need to fill in the holes and the gaps with my art education, and a big part of that is using charcoal for drawing practice. So charcoal is great for getting the tones right, and here you'll see that I've already started, and so these are where these pencils sort of come in. I love these traditional earthy brown shades that you'll see in a lot of the old master sketches, and here I am actually copying an old master sketch on my Stillman and Byrne sketchbook. Now moving on to the clay board. So I bought this specifically for egg tempera, and the same with this gesso. So the gesso would be used on non-primed panels, but this clay board is actually primed, and apparently it's perfect for egg tempera, and this is exactly what I'm doing here. And this is a piece that I'm filming. It's not finished yet. You will see the full piece at some point, but this is my first ever try with egg tempera. So I mixed the colors myself from pigment and egg yolk in a traditional recipe, and at the moment the piece is almost complete. And finally, some additional drawing tools. So this is for ratio and sizing, and I'll be focusing a lot this year on still life painting, and so this is sort of important to try and get values right and to get the proportions right. So these are all quite basic drawing supplies that I myself never used before because I skipped that part, and as well as some props, so you can sort of get an idea of what my focus will be going forward. And this is just a slightly larger graphite lead pencil with its own sharpener. So sometimes it's important to just have that sort of wider diameter of pencil just to get your values sketched in quickly. It's quite a bit quicker than just a normal pencil. And I go through sharpeners a lot, so this time I spent decent money on a brass sharpener, and I think that the blades can be replaced. So this will hopefully stop my need to constantly be buying new sharpeners. So that's all for today. I do hope you found this useful. If you have any questions about any of the materials that I have purchased, do leave me a message down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you. These were all purchased from Jackson's, and I'll leave a link to the art store as well.